We'll get some together.
Yeah, I thought that was very thorough. Okay, I explained to them you weren't feeling good.
We have a forum, so you're excused.
You can
Just
leave.
sit next to you, be on you.
Yes.
Well, the thing is, she sits next to me. I don't want to be sick.
I know.
You guys gotta leave Monday. Take care.
Thank you.
Where did Troy go? Where did our conference?
Oh, you know where.
Yeah. Pardon me, smoking if you got Larry? Oh,
Sir.
I'm waiting on you.
Assume the position.
Wow. No, it's not even a flea. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So we definitely have a forum. Good.
Good job.
Oh, not daring.
Well, you must have a town manager in stitches, because he can't make it.
He's the planning commission chairman and his wife.
There he is. Not locked.
No, I'm talking to a board member.
It's right there. I can follow Joe went into that. I'm gonna say, oh, we're all here.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, we didn't want to give it to
Yes, yes.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Oh,
I-
thank you.
So we're
Nothing like taking a trip.
here. You are.
I'd say maybe do the motion on that.
You're way out there.
Okay, everybody here?
Way out there.
Oh yeah, there's Mary. We can't run without Mary. Okay, call to order the Platteville Board of Trustees meeting for September 19th, 2017. Could we please have a moment of silence to honor the people who stand guard inside and outside our borders to protect and serve? Thank you. Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mayor Steve Nelson,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Hope Morris,
Here.
Larry Clark,
Here.
Adrian Sandoval, Kim Nelson,
Here.
Michael Cowper, Troy Blum.
Here.
Okay. Next, we have approval of the agenda.
I make a motion to approve the agenda as presented. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Next, audience participation. I see everybody will participate, but not right now, right?
That's the thing. On any items not on the agenda.
On any items not on the agenda, yes. Okay. Approval of the consent agenda, which consists of regular meeting minutes for September 5th, 2017, the financials, and the paid bills.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
A motion and a second. I'm going to ask for a roll call for this because this is money.
Larry Clark,
Aye.
Adrian Sandoval, Kim Nelson,
Aye.
Michael Cowper, Hope Morris,
Yes.
Troy Blum.
Aye.
Okay, motion carried. Number 8, action item, which is going to be public hearing for a conditional review use for KLX Energy Services. I now open the public hearing and ask for a motion to continue this to October 3rd at 7 o'clock p.m.
So moved.
Second. Have a motion and a second on this. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? This is opened and continued. Now, does anybody need to do we need to continue with presentations or anything, or just, are we just gonna stop on our tracks right now and carry this forward?
We are.
Terrific. I'm sorry to cause you some inconvenience, but we wanna keep our ducks in a row. If we make a mistake now, no good can come of it. So I appreciate your patience.
No problem.
Okay. So that gets rid of most. Okay, then we move on to Resolution 2017-26. Mr. Manager, I'm hoping you're going to bore us with this one because we've had an excitement for a while.
This resolution, absolutely, Mr. Mayor, is simply, we have a new finance clerk, and her name, Mary, is?
Irene Chaparro.
Thank you. It takes me a while for names. I knew it was Irene. This is to allow her as finance clerk to be on the signature card at the banks for deposits, for payroll, for AP, so on and so forth. That's all it is. It's just changing her name, or adding her name to what's already on it.
Removing one and adding.
Well, we removed the prior one, so it'd be Mary, myself, and Irene, as well as for staff, and then you, and hope that it's not continued like official.
Does anybody have any questions or comments on this issue?
How was Mr. Chaparro's name spelled, her last name?
Chaparro.
Thank you.
We will have her come to a future meeting to be introduced.
Okay. I would entertain a motion on this.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2017-26, a resolution authorizing signatures for checking, savings, money market distributors of accounts for the town of Platinum.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Next, TCC construction contract revisions. Mr. Rankin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As far as the actual contract format itself, the request, and let me first by saying, last week we had a groundbreaking for the new senior center, last Wednesday. Prior to that, I met with Marguerite Romero, the project manager from TCC, and her two foremans, if you will. One is overseeing the project site, and the other one is truly an employee foreman that helps operations. One thing that came up is there's been a few weeks of delay until we got the contract approved, and they could not order the building to be manufactured until now. They're hoping to, on the initial bid earlier this year, to have it ordered by the end of August or September. So, long story short, the contract initially stated completion by April 1, and upon consideration, I agreed that we completed by April 30th. They think April 18th they'll be out of the building. But just because of weather delays or anything that may happen, once the building is up, there won't be any issues. But we don't know if we'll have early winter or late winter. So on the contract on the front page, for completion, commencement and completion of work on number 3, April 1st, 2018 has been changed to April 30th, 2018. So I promised the seniors being by May, so I'm still in the good fight with my additional to that, it's really my fault, Mr. Shrepp sent out the bid package for this year. He's our architect. He submitted a performance agreement, or what's it called, Ken? Performance?
Well, he submitted general conditions.
General conditions, sorry.
Put them in the bid package, and then they were different from our standard general conditions.
They were more architect general provisions instead of legal counsel provisions.
Okay.
So there were some amendments to that, nothing major. I talked to David about those, about in requirements, such as what we get, final documents, so on and so forth. How the site is fenced off. I discussed those in details with him last Wednesday. I'm comfortable, I believe, upon talking to David, he's comfortable with the provisions as they've been revised, so we didn't have to change everything underneath from the bid provisions to the town provisions. essentially that would delay the project a little bit more and cost them more money, because that's not what they bid on initially, and that's completely my fault. But I think upon Kendra's review, she was fine with it as well.
And like I said, really the only legal change, the rest of them were kind of practical, and I'll leave those up to David, but the only legal change was to reduce the warranty from 2 years to 1 year. I typically have in my standard contract a 2-year warranty, but the bid went out with a 1-year warranty, and that does make a difference in price.
And I talked to Bob Shrev, and he said typically the building bids that they do is for 1 year. Unlike a road, a building is in his mind, but that's an architect's mind. That would have changed the price if we asked them for a 2-year warranty. I didn't have a big issue with it. This is a very reputable company. They've done some big projects in Greeley and the Windsor areas, so I was comfortable with agreeing to that on the general provision. The rest of it is fairly minor as far as documents. Mr. Shrev said anything that we need after the fact. For example, we sent the construction documents to Safeco for review. And then they mark them up back and forth, any questions, and they give them to TCC. I meet with TCC every 2 weeks. I meet with them again next Tuesday, just for status updates on where they're at. When it's all said and done, they hand us the final plans. The final plans will be marked up. So one of the initial general provisions that Kendra's template has is that they, through their computer system, take all the markups and put it into digital form. Well, what Mr. Shrev said, that he will do that as part of his contract. So that's an example. I mean, he will do that without additional cost of TCC. So, but at the end result, I'm very comfortable with the senior center, no different than what they did on. If that makes any sense. I can go into more detail if you want us to move.
So we just need, the revisions are simply these 2 points.
The general provisions were modified, and the closing, or the final completion date was moved from April 1 to April 30th, 2018. Those are the 2 main.
And from a 2-year warranty to a 1.
2-year warranty.
So those are the only 2 things that were,
Of substance.
okay. Does anybody have any questions or comments on this? I would entertain a motion on this point.
I make a motion to approve TCC construction contract revision as presented.
Second. Okay. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Right.
All opposed? Motion carried. Okay. SRSA workers' compensation and property casualty renewal quotes for 2018. I just know it went down. Mr. Rankin?
Well, it is that time of year. Mary, can you help me out with this? One of them went up and one went down. Do you recall which one it was? They were both very slight.
Property casualty went down, workers' comp went up because of previous claims.
Is what it's pool. And workers' comp, which is, to me, a higher liability because it involves employees, went up slightly. Nothing to break the budget based upon last year's. I mean, there's only a matter of a few $1,000s difference between this year and last year.
Oh, is that all?
We're not talking about huge dollar amounts. It's not 20 or 30,000.
Well, I was gonna say, your paycheck and mine must look different, because a few thousand's a lot to me.
Well, we're looking at a $100,000 total insurance policy between workers' comp and property casualty.
Yes, sir.
So it's a fairly small percent. Also, in this, on both PC and WC, there's a page that shows, the $1,000 deductibles. And then 2017 loss control product credit, those are nominal, usually less than $2,000. We can either cash those out, or we just apply them toward our premiums, and that's what we typically do. I sign off, we apply them toward reduction of our premium.
Right.
Okay.
So what does that
usually
end us up with, as a grand total?
For workers' comp, it's $49,880. And for property casualty, this is the right page. $62,291. The credit in property casualty is $1,098. The credit in work comp is $1,845. In years past, we tried to shop around. I myself am very comfortable with Sursa as far as insurance carriers, both property casualty and work comp. Unfortunately, I've had to work with them on both sides very closely through the years. They're a high-quality company, in my opinion. There are some others out there that we do look at on occasion. Going into next year, Mary and I will look at a few other companies in a little more detail beforehand to do some cost comparisons, but it's not always apples to apples.
So this is gonna be approximately $110,000.
Approximately.
A rough approximation, okay.
And just to echo what Troy said, I would recommend Sursa highly over anybody else. So, my experience for all my clients.
Their claims and the people that represent you have been top-notch. And they do represent roughly 95% of all municipalities in the state of Colorado.
Well, I know from experience from the past on the board that we have had some issues, and they were a great help.
They also provide a lot of training for free. I do have one client that does not have Sursa, and there's no training, and there's no communication, and there's no resources, so that's pretty huge.
When you say this is a slight raise,
I don't know the exact amount, but I looked at, I had to pull last year's. but-
and I saw it too, and I'm trying to remember, it doesn't seem like it, I didn't look at workers' comp. It seemed like last year was 56, wasn't it, for property casualty?
I'd have to go back and look. I don't remember the number specifically, Mayor, but what caught my eyes, it wasn't significant.
Right, right. I don't want to get caught in a bad way, so I am not going to argue this. I'm going to swallow hard and recommend that we approve it. Does anybody have any questions or comments on this? Yes, sir.
I'll make the motion to approve the 2018 Sursa quotes as presented.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Adrian Sandoval, Kim Nelson,
Aye.
Michael Cowper, Hope Morris,
Yes.
Troy Blum,
Aye.
Larry Clark.
Okay, that motion is carried. Solar production agreement. Mr. Rankin.
And Mr. Mayor, with us tonight is Kevin Morris, Vice President of Sales for Clean Energy Collective, which is CEC. And you may remember Mr. Morris from months and months ago, gave a presentation to the board. Since that time, just to summarize, I'll talk to Kevin here in a minute. Ken, our town attorney, and CEC's legal counsel have worked out an agreement, which is before you tonight in your packet. And also included, I asked Kevin for an updated, basically cost savings, if you will, that he did today, September 19th, that has this sheet. And I would ask Kevin to basically summarize, if you will, what this will do for the town.
Sure, thank you. Again, my name's Kevin Morris, Vice President of Sales with Clean Energy Collective. And as Troy said, maybe you all remember I was here quite a while ago, I think it was the end of last year, and presented this program, and so I wanted to just kind of give a refresher tonight. My plan is just to take a few minutes to go through this. However, I don't want to rush it, and so if you do have questions, I'm certainly would love to walk through it more slowly. So because I go through it quickly, I'm not trying to pass over anything. So, real simply, how the program again works is it's called Community Solar. We build large utility-sized solar arrays, in this case for Xcel Energy, and the power that's produced is fed directly into their grid, and then we sign or subscribe the panels to large customers in the service area, specifically municipalities, school districts, public entities, counties. So that the power that's produced is essentially paid for by posting credits on those subscribers' bills. And then there's no upfront cost to the subscribers, to the town. And the way you pay for it is once you get the credit on your bill, then you pass 90% of it in the first year, 90% of it onto us, and keep 10% of those bill credits. So what the proposal we have in front of you here today is for a system size of 297 kilowatts of capacity. That will produce roughly close to 100% of your electricity usage, so the town can tout that they're roughly 100%, it's technically about 98% of your power is offset with clean renewable power. That capacity should generate credits on your electric bill of almost $42,000 in the first year. They said we bill you for 90% of those monthly, so you would pay CEC about $37,700, keeping a little over $4,000 of savings for the town in the first year, so roughly 10%. In subsequent years, the way it works is what you owe us would escalate at 2.5% per year. The credit that you receive from Xcel will fluctuate based on Xcel's changes in their retail rates. Historically, going back 10 to 15 years, historically the rates have gone up about 3.5% per year. And so I ran numbers with a little more conservative estimate of saying Xcel rates going up 3% per year. The net savings to the town over the 20-year term of the contract would be a little over $150,000, or a net savings of about 14% of their electricity use. So again, no upfront cost, no land needed, no maintenance obligations. You just sign up for it, you get credits on your electric bill once the array is interconnected and producing power, and you don't get billed for that until you get those bill credits, and it will generate immediate savings right out of the gate, and long-term savings for the town.
So you're not asking for a property to put panels up to do the solar, it's coming from some other location somewhere?
Yeah, so...
We're signing up to be part of this program to get most of our energy from the solar?
Exactly. Yep, so this facility will be our Logan County facility. It's already sited, it will start construction very shortly. Should be up and running by end of the year, beginning of next. So yeah, we're not asking for land or anything like that.
So the agreement actually goes into effect once we start seeing credits on our utility bills, is that?
Yeah, so we'll sign the agreement now, and then your payments to us will not happen until you get credits on your bill. So there's no cost until the array is interconnected and producing savings on your bill.
So if we have a credit of $4,000, we get back at 90% of that per this agreement?
Yes.
And then send the check to you?
Yeah, so you'll get
Keep the savings.
you'll get your Xcel bill and then on the Xcel bill, you'll have a credit for the power that's produced. And then within 30 days, we'll send you a bill for your payment for that production.
This is similar years ago, about 10 years ago, the library put a solar panel on top of the library. They reap all their benefit, but they paid for the system up front. They installed the actual solar panels on the building, which was really costly, so.
My question is, how do we go into a 20-year contract?
I'll defer to legal counsel.
It is permissible, it is also subject to TABOR, so we have, every contract we do for more than 1 year, if it's a fiscal obligation, has to be subject to TABOR, which is the Taxpayer Bill of Rights. So it's really a 1 year, I know that doesn't make you comfortable, but it's really a 1 year obligation each year. So any year that you decided not to appropriate for this, you wouldn't have to. There is a moral obligation to do this, but legally it's fine.
Will we have to re-authorize this every year?
No.
Or it would be in continuum?
It would be for the
Unless-
20 years. I shouldn't say that. You don't have to authorize the contract, but you would have to authorize the budget amount. In other words, there'll be a budget, there'll be
Which we do every
Right.
year anyway.
Exactly.
So we budget to pay our utility bill every year, so.
Right.
That was my biggest question,
line item
because
there,
I know
but-
we can only go year to
You're
year.
exactly
so
right.
I'm going, what are we
Yeah.
doing?
Yeah.
So what I foresee happening in the years ahead, you're going to be coming to me and budget, saying how much are we saving that we put somewhere else.
Okay.
I know how that works.
You need employees, salesmen.
Right.
But what it says in here, in this proposal, is that we get a bill from Excel. Will that bill, it'll be strictly credits, it'll be for no money? Or will we have to pay an Excel bill and a solar bill?
So, yeah, so it will vary based on the production of the array. So, for example, solar panels will produce a lot more electricity in the summer than in the winter, just basically because your days are a lot longer. So there potentially could be days where or months where the credit is greater than the bill itself. If that is the case, then that excess credit will roll to the next month. There will also be months where the credit doesn't equal the bill amount, but it'll be a reduction of the bill amount. But the basic answer is what you pay us is only a % of the credits that you receive on your bill. So again, it's set up so in the first year, if your credit's $1,000 one month, you're going to have OXL $1,000 less than what you ordinarily would if you hadn't entered the contract, and we would bill you for $900. So you save $100 in that example.
So you'll be receiving the bill simultaneously as we do, and you'll send us an invoice?
Yes.
So this kilowatt, is this based on our average that we're using right now in the town?
Yes.
So that's where you pull these numbers?
Yes.
So you're not including any increases, possible increases with growth or anything like that with this, right?
Right.
And going back over a year, I worked with Kevin, and there's another company that I worked with as well, that requested, I filled out the paperwork, and I worked with Lauren at the time, as finance clerk, to pull up our meters, and to give them information, authorize them to contact Excel to see what our bills were. That's how the whole process started. And that's how they came up with these rates, so.
Yep.
And our bills were, just so you know, Mayor, from the winter time to summertime, between $2,000 a month up to $6,000 or $7,000 a month, depending on usage. The sewer lagoon, I've talked to David, sewer lagoon lift stations are really high capacity. Many months in the summer, our sewer lagoon alone will take half of our bill. And so reducing that will go a long way to help the budget. I mean, there'll be small pieces like this out of the budget, but it'll hopefully reduce some of our expenses.
When we get to the point, I have a question on the appendix. If you reach a point where I can address that, or can I
Sure.
address that?
Right now, it's fine.
Terrific. And it's not numbered, so I don't know where to tell you to go on this. The appendix, on the top, there's a 2, enter into a subcontract that fails to certify to sell, blah, blah, blah. On the C, that's the third paragraph down.
Which appendix is this, I'm sorry?
It's employees. It's the employment portion. And under C, it says, under B, it says seller has confirmed the employment eligibility of all employees by using E-Verify or government, Homeland Security Department. Right under that C, it says seller shall not use either the E-Verify program or other department program procedures to undertake pre-employment screening of job applicants while the public contract for services is being performed. That seems contradictory.
That's the standard language right out of the statute. I hear you.
Just to clarify, you're on the very last page of the contract prior to the signature page.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was just
Yeah.
looking.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got them all mixed up because I was just
Okay.
going through it several times. This just doesn't, this seems,
What that talks about is one is for employees and one is for pre-employment screening. They can't use it for screening. They can use it for employees. So you have to hire someone first,
And then you E-Verify.
then you E-Verify. I know. Don't get me started. I can read it, it's directly from the statute, so we have no choice.
Well, in a way, it's just like our current employee hiring process. We make a conditional offer,
Yeah.
then we do the background check.
You can't do background check as pre-employment screening, so you can't say, hey, 30 people in this room, we're gonna run you through our E-Verify before we let you file an application.
It would seem like it would be, yeah, before you offer employment, but as part of the application process.
It's just additional, then it's fine.
Yeah.
Slides and things.
And it's very interesting, I get this question a lot, it's a good question, but as I said, this is what Dave tells us we must do.
Okay,
And well, and they must do, because now the Department of Contract.
I will yield to the attorney.
So ultimately, they were looking at it just a small to larger cost savings in 20 years. The Clean Energy Collective's been in operation for how many years now, Kevin?
So we were founded in 2009. We're a Colorado company. We were founded up in Carbondale. We now office in Louisville. We've been building projects for Excel for 6 years or so now. These, I think we've completed 12 different projects with Excel. We're now in the process of building 6 more, which this is one of them.
About a year ago, when you and another company contacted me, there's companies like X79 Power under basically, for lack of a better term, obligation to find cleaner energy solutions.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, well, companies like X79 Energy based on their obligation from the federal government to look at these kind of programs.
So, Excel is a investor-owned utility, is governed by the, regulated, I should say, by the Public Utility Commission of Colorado. And they have certain renewable portfolio standards that they have to meet. This is part of that portfolio that can qualify.
You explain it much better, I do.
So we are still under that legislative mandate for rural areas?
Well, it's Excel, it's mandate to Excel.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Well,
It's not a mandate to us, we don't have to do this.
Right.
We're
but
under
it
no
is-
mandate.
Okay, but it is still that mandate for the rural areas?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I don't know if it's necessarily rural.
Yeah, no, this would qualify.
This is all.
Yeah, this is, because you're an Excel Energy customer, not a municipal or cooperative
I mean, it could be
utility.
Denver Metro,
Right.
it could be
It is, I
any
mean,
size and quantity.
My understanding it was aimed primarily at the rural areas.
So there was a second
that's a different.
statute that was passed after the renewable portfolio standards for those rural utilities.
So the first one wasn't punitive. Okay, thank you.
One last question. Oh, I'm sorry, Kate, sorry.
I was just gonna ask, will the rebates go beyond 20 years?
Potentially. So the contract we have with Excel is a 20-year contract, where they will be, performing under this contractor program. What happens beyond 20 years, if they re-up the program, we'll certainly come back to all of our customers and say, here's what the economics look like now, would you like to continue on? But this agreement's a 20-year agreement. At the end, we'll just see where we are, and
This goes away, it could go away after 20.
could go away after 20 years, right?
I'm assuming 20 years is the minimum agreement timeframe. Do you do longer ones?
It is, this program, no, every customer's under a 20-year contract. We're seeing the industry move to 25-year terms. We haven't seen it here locally, but some of our projects in the east, we're starting to see 25 years.
And that's probably because in Colorado, most contracts are limited to 20 years. That may be why. That may be why it's only 20 years.
Yeah.
Well, and hopefully the efficiency of solar panels will improve in 20 years.
Sure,
And
sure.
we've been approached, the other one I was talking about, I can't remember who they are, but part of that system is they're wanting also to build an array close by on town property, and then we were able to get some reduction from that, and that just didn't pan out, 'cause we didn't have anything, but this array is in Logan County, is that what you said?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
The only last question I have, Mayor and Board, is who close to us do you also have as clients that we would
So,
recognize?
in this particular array, your neighbors in the garden will be, City of Greeley and Logan County, the county itself. City of Louisville is also one of our large customers, Arapahoe County. And then in prior projects, we've worked with City of Wheat Ridge, City of Lakewood, several other districts in the South Suburban Parks and Rec.
I'm curious, how many acres is this array?
So this will be a 2 megawatt array, which typically that is about a 14 to 15 acre site, about 7 to 8 acres per megawatt. So not,
Because there's a huge one on 52 outside of Fort Lupton, that I don't know how big that one was.
don't know whose that is, but yeah, this, in solar world, this wouldn't be considered a huge
Pretty small.
project, yeah, about 15 acres.
That's all, I was just curious.
Yeah.
You should see the ones outside of Vegas. They are monstrous.
Yeah.
Well, that's some sunshine though.
Yes. Yes. And the land doesn't have much value, except for growing rattlesnakes. Okay. Does anybody have any comments or questions on this? Okay, I would entertain a motion on this subject.
Make a motion to approve the agreement with CEC Solar number 1128 LLC as presented and authorize the mayor to execute.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on this. May I have a roll call, please?
Kim Nelson,
Aye.
Michael Calver, Hope Morris,
Yes.
Troy Blum,
Aye.
Larry Clark,
Right?
Adrian Sandoval.
Okay, motion carried. Town manager, you ought to get a charge out of that.
Is there a project?
Thank you very much. We're excited to have you all as a customer and look forward to working with you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much for the delay, the wait.
Well,
Yeah, it was my fault,
it's not your fault.
Okay. We have reports. Mr. Police Chief, you're up first.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The only thing I want to add, other than what's in my report, is that we are moving ahead with the hiring. We're wrapping up the examinations for SRO and investigator. And hopefully we will have them hired and here and ready to go by late September, early October. So we moved ahead with everything a little bit since this was written. Other than that, I have nothing to add. I'll answer some questions if you got them.
Is investigator, is that a police entry level or is that above?
We asked for a couple of years on as an investigator. So this applicant that we're moving ahead with, she has investigations in both a small and large agency. With that said, she will be investigations and line officer. So in the summer months, or sorry, I'm getting confused with an SRO. So she will be working regular shift work, and we're not large enough to have solely an investigator, and so she will walk the role of line officer also. But one thing that we asked is that she had a couple of years on under investigations, and she meets that.
Nice to be fully staffed.
It will be nice, absolutely.
So, the 112 tickets in August, is that because we had SROs helping?
No, in fact, we had one SRO and he didn't write any, which is okay. He's inside the schools, he's handling the high school and elementary up north and then here, so he's not writing any. This is just, we really wanted to hit it hard in August. We had a couple of areas that is a concern and that's been noted, and so we've been hitting it hard, and this is a time of year that we have the opportunity, we have the officers on, and we just wanted to really hit home with enforcement. Unfortunately, maybe it's not enough for everybody, but we're really working the hardest we're able to with what we got.
I think that's great. although the shift might complain to change to, their insurance going up with all the tickets.
I appreciate your diligence, Chief. It's noted and appreciated.
Thank you.
Does anybody have anything for the chief? Thanks, Carl. Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot.
Okay. Next, we have the Public Works Director. Let's see if we can give him a harder time. Mr. Brand?
Don't try too hard, please. I don't have anything additional to add. Be happy to field any questions and attempt to answer them on my report.
The aerators that you keep having to maintain, is that because we don't have a screening plant?
I'm not going to say that we won't have to continue to do that if we don't have if we did have a screening plant, because it's an open pond that's out there that the wind tends to put stuff over the fence, but a screening plant eventually will help us quite a bit. I say eventually because the years of debris that's in there, the aerators turn it over, pull it up. As the ponds, if the temperatures change, we're going into the fall season where we're going to get the temperature change again. We'll get the ponds literally turning over. The bottom will come to the top. That happens every spring and every fall. Brings debris that's actually been buried where the aerators aren't pulling it up and that kind of thing. We did go in and did a bunch of sludge removal and debris removal in there a couple of years ago. We got quite a bit of stuff out of there. We also stirred some stuff up that didn't actually get removed. So yes, the screen will help immensely with that. But it's not going to, I believe it's going to be my best guess is a 2 to 3 year delay before we actually get everything cleaned out of the pond, caught up on the aerators, cleaned out of the aerators, physically removed from the pond and disposed of, before we start to see a huge impact with that. Now, having said that, the screen is going to start from day one, as soon as we're able to get it installed in there. That will help with a considerable amount of what's going in, but we've still got what's already in the pond, and anything that the wind would deposit into the pond that's still going to get caught on the aerators. So I think we're still going to see the wear and tear on the aerators on a consistent basis for 2 to 3 years after we get the screen in place, just because of the amount of what's already there.
Okay.
So,
What are you seeing the most damage from on those aerators? What do you dig off of them things the most?
well, yeah.
We're on, we're being recorded.
Oh, you're no fun.
A lot of what we get is feminine products.
Well, I was
We get a
thinking of
lot
the
of
wet wipes.
disposable wet wipe type
Yeah.
thing. The wet wipes are advertised as flushable. Legally, to advertise them as flushable, all they have to do is fit through a 4-inch pipe. Doesn't mean they have to biodegrade, it doesn't mean that they have to come apart and shred. What they do is they shred sort of, but they do not come. They're tougher than you'd think, and they wrap around the shafts on those aerators. And then, of course, as soon as you start the collection of one, then they pick up something else. So, I mean, we've picked diapers out of there, we've picked underwear out of there, you really don't want to know.
You're good, dude.
Real good.
Well, for all the folks who will be watching this on the computer, that might be good advice to helping save our working parts in our sewer system.
And David, in the past, you sent out, or Tyler sent out information flyers, utility bills, describing them, not to throw this stuff in, right?
Correct. We have asked that they don't do that. We've also asked that homeowners be careful with what we call fog, fats, oil, and grease, as far as, if you fry up hamburgers or, brown some hamburger in a pan, to actually drain that into a can or something else and dispose of it otherwise than just pouring it down the drain. The oil and grease creates quite literally a layer in the sanitary system, both in the pipes, on the pumps, in the lift stations. We typically clean the lift stations 2 to 3 times a year to help with the fog issue that's in them. So,
Do you ever have to go through the town and through the sewer systems and check the pipes out in the streets and stuff and see what kind of debris is in there and stuff like that's accumulated? I know the big cities do that with their suction tank and stuff. So do we have to do that, or do we need to look at it?
We get to do that annually. And in 2009, when I got here, I wasn't able to find the reports of the TV reports of the system having been looked at. So in 2009, the town invested over $40,000 to have the entire system cleaned and then televised at that time. Every year since then, we have, well, not every year, I think we started in 2011 or 2012, is when we started the annual cleaning, and we budget between $15,000 and $20,000 a year in the sewer fund to go through and clean every bit of the sewer line. Mostly because we are very flat. The original parts of town were built with clay line. They were built very flat, and they were not built to what is considered an industry standard now as far as the amount of grade. We would have had to have more lift stations, and we would have had a lot more fall on the pipes. But they just built basically with the 0.02% grade that we have from the south side to the north side of town, which most days isn't enough unless you drop a leaf or something into it to see whether it's actually moving.
So do you do it, our department does that, or do we have?
We hire that done, because we don't.
They come out and do that?
Correct.
Okay.
Dales Environmental Services is who we typically use. They are the company in northern Colorado, plus they do a lot of the Denver metro area as well. I mean, City of Loveland uses them for $500,000, $750,000 feet a year. Greeley uses them. And City of Loveland and Greeley both have their own trucks that do some of their stuff, but they just can't keep up with everything they've got. Dales comes in and does our system in about anywhere from 4 to 7 days, depending on if they get pulled off to something else, if they're able to bring two crews in to do it. But what we have found is from 2009 to 2011 or 12, whenever it was that we started that, we actually had some minor start to be slowdowns. We've never actually backed up any of our mains, but we did have some slowdowns. But we decided at that point that we couldn't take a chance, and that's when I talked to the board and we started setting that money aside every year to do that. So we don't TV everything every year, the whole thing. I mean, that's almost redundant as long as we're doing the cleaning. That's the important part. But if there is an issue when they're cleaning a line, if they're getting a lot of extra sand and debris out of that line, then that means we've probably got a piece of pipe that has come loose or something, then we do TV that section.
Okay. When we TV that line, are they looking at the residential lines coming in too to see if there's...
All they can see on the residential lines, Troy, is just the connection, where it comes into the main line at. They do make camera setups that actually shoot up to 50 feet of a residential line off of the main line camera. I believe DES has that capability, but we've never paid them for that, because technically, per the code, the residential line is theirs from the main back to their home, so it's not our responsibility. So unless there's something flagrant right at the connection, we don't inspect their service line.
Okay.
So what's happening at the Shell station?
There's 3/4 inch water line plugged. And we've never had an experience like that before, so we have set them up coming off of the fire hydrant right now into their meter pit, running through their meter. We are working with a couple of different companies right now to see if we can figure out what's going on with that service line and why it plugged up. It appears that there's some roots in that, but we haven't been able to figure out where those are at. CB Ferris is in the process of trying to find a company. City of Greeley relines a lot of their service line, or their main lines each year. They use a company from back east that does that, so they're in the process. Steve's trying to get some information from the City of Greeley engineer that coordinates that, as far as who they use and how they do it, so that we can see if we can figure out what we can do there. We will either have to reline that line or potentially replace that line.
So you might be able to reline it.
I suspect that the relining might be as much or more than replacement.
Oh.
So,
Sure.
depending on the other utilities that are there and that kind of thing, it may or may not be our best option. So,
Okay.
The line that you're having trouble with, is that galvanized?
no, it's a copper line.
It's copper.
Well, the main line is a 6-inch AC water line that was put in back in the 70s. And then the 3/4 inch line that was tapped onto, it was tapped on with a copper saddle and a copper line that's run service into the building. That was done in 2008.
Anybody have anything else for? Okay, Mr. Brandt, we appreciate the report and the public service announcement. Next, we have our attorney.
Well, I would be happy to answer any questions about my report. The one thing I didn't put in the report, and I apologize, is the CEC contract. I'm glad that Tim was here to discuss that. I did not put that in my report because I sort of had forgotten about it. So, but I'm happy to answer any other questions.
I think we've done about enough damage for one night.
I'd like to commend you in the way in which you handled the issue with the ditch company and
Oh, thank you.
the notification. I think that was not only in line with the law, but in line with what ethical practice is, and also protects the interests of the board and the town as well.
Well, thank you, and it does protect the town, I think it also protects the applicant, because the last thing the applicant wants is something that's approved that will later be overturned because...
Get more to a lawsuit.
Right,
Yeah.
so, I think they realize that.
I think it was handled in the best way possible to
Thank you,
to
yeah,
delay it until.
it's too bad that that hasn't happened, because they've already been delayed, but...
No, they're big boys and girls.
Right.
And I'm sure it's not the first time they've run into some kind of glitch somewhere.
Well, it's only a couple of weeks, which is nice, so,
Yeah.
I already emailed the attorney that was here, the name of the attorney for the ditch company, so those two can get together and work it out, so hopefully.
Somebody at the home office is gonna get a flogging.
Yeah. Anyway, so thank you, I appreciate it, but it was the right thing to do, I don't think we had any choice.
Absolutely.
I also agree. Anybody have anything else? Thank you, Kendra.
Thank you.
Okay, well, Mr. Manager, let's see what he's got.
We're done. Can we reassign?
Did you say last time to me on off the line, we should maybe reassign seats. All right, I'll be quick.
No.
Just a couple of updates, like the last thing I mentioned, the CMAC and the Front Range, the mayor went with me, the executive committee at the Upper Front Range did authorize the town to get 2 more vehicles, one for police, one for public works, so it'll be a 2018, about this time next year, and we'll actually get those vehicles in. It's a go to the...
SUVs or trucks?
One SUV for Carl and a truck for Dave. Right now, is what we're looking at. So, it's about a year process, what it takes. Also, the town of Gilchrist received a public works vehicle, and the county of Wells, Rural County received 7 vehicles, I believe.
I think that's what it was.
And they still had over 100,000 left, because they didn't have enough people bidding on this, so they reopened it up to see if anybody else wanted vehicles. So, I thought about it. But we've been very fortunate, this will give us 10 vehicles in the last 5 or 6 years that are brand new CMAC vehicles. They're just very nice trucks, basically what they are.
Public Works was having to push half of their trucks around, now they drive it around in style.
When I first came, true story, when I first came, they were going to the salvage yard to find seats that fit, there's holes in the seats. And they were sticking foam in the seats, there's crazy.
Good program.
I mentioned TCC earlier. I'm gonna meet with them every other Wednesday just for updates. I really like their approach and how organized they seem to be. So in a nutshell, I did meet with staff to give a general idea, because you won't see a lot going on until probably November, maybe then next month. Well, they'll break some ground, they'll put the footers in, the building's been ordered. I think it is in next month that they'll start excavating, they'll put in the utilities. They'll start plumbing in the utilities, they'll do the footers, get everything ready, so when the building arrives, hopefully, first part of January, could be earlier, could be December, but it has to be engineered and has to go back and forth with their design team. And once the building's up and the shell's on, they get a lot done inside, obviously. Then in the spring, they'll go back outside and finish up. Had a very detailed schedule of activities. I didn't think about giving that to you, but I can give you a copy of that. I'll send that out. I'm racing it out because it's almost a week by week detail what they do. We're looking forward to it. It should be a good project. So, the community center will be closed January and February for any use whatsoever. Maybe not all of February, but definitely January, starting that second week, because they need to start busting the hallway connection, tearing up the bathrooms, and that's all they're doing in there, but we want to close it down. So I need to work with the seniors and Christie on another place for this nutrition meals.
I was going to ask you what kind of impact that's going to make on the community center while construction's going on.
Yeah, usually January, February is slow rental months, so it's not really a rental issue, but it does definitely impact our seniors. I need to clarify with Christie, but before, when there was an issue with the community center, the health department and the nutrition site said they only go to another permitted site, but inspected and approved by the health department. Town hall is not such a site. So I need to look at what options we have. I've heard that there may be emergency or circumstantial situations where the nutrition center will allow them to go to a site that's not inspected, but I've yet to verify that. I don't know. I need to dig into that. But yeah, they can use town hall, I don't know. But we don't have the facilities to clean up as far as the kitchen and stuff like that. So we need to knock a wall out there and build a kitchen and bathroom.
I have a feeling that the seniors will probably not be too touchy about that.
Now, are we gonna put bleachers up so they can watch the program?
With the canopy and all that.
No, we don't want to do that. One thing we did mention is we did a fairly stringent checklist, and one thing is some communities, like Platt, we're excited about the new senior center, but they would publicly inform each step of what was going on, and they had issues with traffic and security, and I said, I'm not going to do that. And also, the senior organization was going on, and I'll give monthly community updates, but we don't want to draw interference to what they're doing over there. The ball fields, as of right now, are locked up.
Yeah.
And the parking lot of the ball fields on the west side of this community center will be their staging area. One thing they said is they'll fence off their construction area, but all their subs that come in are told not to leave any items on the job site at night. They're supposed to haul it in and haul it out. Also, the big difference is no construction trailer. The foreman works out his pickup truck. They usually bring a temporary office. They don't do that. They work out a pickup truck.
Wow.
So I talked to Carl, but we'll do some extra patrol once they start showing up and doing some stuff. So, FY this Saturday from 2 to 4, the new Gilchrist Library has their grand opening.
Yeah.
So if you're available, swing by over there and check out the new facilities. I haven't been through it since we did the initial walkthrough when they were building it. If you haven't gone to the Veterans Memorial, please do so. It's getting there. They put up all the monument stones.
Oh, they're set now?
They're set on the wall. When I was up there, they were setting the last one. And they were going to go to the grotto wall and set those stones. They had the big crane up there today. The entry sign has the stone around it now. The shelter's been up. I talked to Ken Costin from All High Play Systems today. We went up there, and the edging or molding around the shelter, he had never done it before. It doesn't look quite right, so he's going to go up there later this week or probably the next week and make it look a little straighter. It's got some some bulging, he doesn't fasten the way he wanted it to, but it'll be fine when it's done. But believe it or not, he is determined to be out that site by the end of next week.
I was up there Sunday and they were working.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've been working
Yeah.
every single day and Sunday.
So, yeah, they're apparently serious.
So our goal is to get Nelson and his crew out of there by the end of the week. All goes well with weather. Get the landscaping. I'm gonna have a bid for October 3rd, because the money for landscaping is coming out of Veterans Memorial Fund. There's still some funds left to help get the landscaping.
18,000, isn't there?
Yeah, and the landscaping really, it's not, we're talking about trees right now, we're talking about erosion control. We're trying to get the irrigation system in, get all the sod in, and some little stuff, but the trees will probably come in the spring.
And Rotary, you know.
And the Rotary grant, we applied for a grant for the Rotary, and partnered with the Rotary to help pay up to $11,000 for the landscape. We won't know till next spring.
There's a lot of talk around town. People are very happy with what's going on.
Well, for what it's worth, when I was up there I went up there Saturday. And then I went up there Sunday because Jim called me. I had nothing else to do, so I went up there no more. He just had a question.
A rainy night for the Bronco game, you went up there, is that what it was?
Probably right at halftime, but you know. Right after the Chiefs won, I went up and watched the For what it's worth, I don't know who it was, but there was a lady that showed up, and I was talking to Jim, and she walked up. You could tell she was just looking around, and then she just was crying. She went back to her car and just drove off. She was happy.
Oh, okay.
She was happy. You could tell she was happy. And Jim said that someone stops every single day, especially on the weekend. And a gentleman came up yesterday, I think, and read his brother's name on the stones, because they put half the stones up yesterday. So it's going to mean a lot to a lot of people.
Good.
It really will. Talking to Penny, we're looking at Saturday, October 28th, as a dedication ceremony. And that's what her and the Veterans Committee had talked about. That Saturday, the last Saturday of October. And then Veterans Day in November would solely be just for the veterans. The Veterans Memorial will officially be open. And as of today, another Boy Scout troop, not the ones that put up the flags for Memorial Day weekend. The second one wants to put the flags out on Veterans Day, which we've never had before on that. Or have we, David? Have we ever done that?
I don't think so.
I don't think
So-
that would be good this year.
So it's, picking up some traction. And the next year, we'll talk to the board about replacing that fence on 32 and doing an entrance out of the cobblestone that matches the other one. So we'll talk about that in detail, we'll make it look nice. Add some security, because we gotta be able to lock that up. Right now, I can't lock it up. So,
If Randy wants some, like, let's see if I can get our color guard out for the dedication, or maybe even, somebody from the band to play some.
military band and color guard to go along the way.
Wow, that would
Well, that'd be nice.
And I'll work with her on doing basically an itinerary or the agenda of the ceremony.
Do we have surveillance up there at this point?
No. But it is lit, Steve, after tonight's meeting, drive up there, after somebody up there, it is lit up like Fort Knox. Mr. Evans put some lights in.
So it's already, okay.
It is lit up like you wouldn't believe. It's laughing, but it is.
I haven't seen it in full dark yet, so I plan to swing up there tonight and take a look. But
It probably glows from the top of the thing.
The way Mike described it to me is he's hoping we don't land airplanes there.
Well, now I'm glad we're going solar.
And these
They're all LEDs.
They're all LEDs, they're really nice.
Question, on the new senior center, I never heard any talk. What kind of lighting are we putting in the senior center?
It's all LED, it's all.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's all energy efficiency with insulation, and the lighting, the windows, everything. So,
I was sure you would, I didn't think of the lighting, I forgot all about that.
real quick, the senior tea, Kim, next Saturday, what time?
Yeah, not this Saturday, the 30th.
The following Saturday.
10 to noon.
10 to noon at the community center, donation fundraiser for the senior organization, for the furnace station.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's coming up. I did contact, finally get a hold of Excel on the Main Street undergrounding. He's way behind schedule. He said he's been on the shelf for 2 months. They pulled him off on other big projects that are going on, development projects that they're paying big money for. he has to review those plans. So he said, I will get back to your underground project, so give me at least another month. So I understand, there's a lot going on in Northern Colorado.
And it isn't like we have to have it done yesterday, we do have a time frame.
I want to keep pressing on it
Yes.
without upsetting him, so.
I think that's prudent.
I did talk to Brad Higgins today. I think he's gonna reach out to Dave and I next week to talk about the water supply plan. Through email, he says about 95% complete. They were working on some ditch water, I think, assessments. But, that's overdue as well, but we'll get that to the board here next month.
Okay, so he hasn't indicated when he would like to give a presentation?
Probably in October, is what I'm hoping for.
Okay.
If it's 95% done and he can get wrapped with the rest of his information, I'm hoping at least a draft report in October to the board.
There's a lot of questions.
Yeah, absolutely. Last but not least, Mary sent out a revised schedule on the budget. You should have it. We're gonna meet tomorrow evening to finish up the general fund items. I have the budget printed out as of today, and just give it to you in advance and not wait till tomorrow. I know some of you will read it tonight.
You weren't gonna sleep anyway, Mr. Bennett.
David, you were wrong.
Kendra was in the gun sights, not me,
Oh,
so.
So tomorrow evening we'll wrap up, we have a lot of the fund items that David oversees, so it'll be Carl, police, Mary, myself, of course, Reggie and Gordon. Reggie has, her girls play a volleyball tournament at Kersey, so I'll put her at the end. Christie, planning, so everything that's not public works related to the general fund we're covered for should not take forever, we should be fine. Because again, I'm focusing on operations. I basically pulled all the capital projects out of the budget. This will be a separate conversation once we know what the bottom line is. If you look at the end of the general fund on expenditures, this also has a special revenue funds in here, but if you just look at the end of the general fund, you'll see there's about a $15,000 window positive of expenditures versus revenues. And I'm still looking at those numbers, so it's not final by any means. But I'm trying to stay as neutral as possible. Balance. Yes, Larry, did you have a question?
I do.
Sure.
When does the board typically approve the annual budget?
Not till December.
December.
First meeting in December.
Thank you.
And
We have to have the
what,
rough draft.
on October 3rd, the board will receive the official draft of the budget. Because statutorily, I have to have it to you by October 15th, which is before the second meeting.
Right.
So I don't want to call it special meeting. So 2 weeks from tonight, you'll have the official draft. I mean, basically, it'll be like this. And then we'll have another meeting or two in October. My first year, we went to Wednesday before Thanksgiving. We're not doing that ever again. Because we were upside down drastically in the budget, first I took over.
That was a
No,
fun
it
year.
wasn't. It was not.
That was a great year.
But,
Nothing for him.
Depends on how you define fun, I guess.
Well, I did a lot of jumping up and down and screaming and hollering, and he did all the work, so from my perspective, it was not too bad.
what you'll see in this is David Green did start implementing a public works department, but there's no numbers yet, so he's just starting to reformat Cassell, which is the software program that manages that puts us into.
And PD is gonna be the same.
And we talked about salaries and going into next year, everything will be in one line item for wages. If you want a specific breakdown of what a salaried person versus hourly person, I can give you that separately, but the budget will show just all police in one line item, public works mostly, except water and sewer, military, admin, rec, seniors. The allocations is a percentage that you put in the formula and it gets skewed. So, I did talk to him today, and the next financials, he plans on having that fixed, so you can actually see the percentages this year.
Thank you.
Salaries.
That would be helpful.
I don't know how many of trustees in attendance go through the financials, but it's kind of weird now. When you look at salary and hourly and everything.
it's gonna be a work in progress until we streamline it to where it'll be different than what you're used to, but at the end of the day, I think it'll be very, much more transparent, and it'll be easier to track by the general layperson. So that's my goals, or a goal, I should say.
Yes. About these enterprise funds, is that something that's mandated by state? Is that why they're set up that way?
For water and sewer?
Yes.
Yes.
They're treated like businesses,
It's
Larry,
a
but
business fund.
But it's a state mandate.
It's because of Tabor, back to Tabor,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
And we're a little unique, Larry, where we have so many special revenue funds. And years ago, we talked to the board about that. Some communities just have a capital improvement fund that they dump everything into, then they put money aside for streets and cemetery, you name it. Town of Platteville, we talked about years ago at the board, they want those funds separately maintained.
Okay.
So, it's just your preference, it's easy to track that way, but sometimes it's hard
I
to.
only asked to clarify that in my own mind as to how and why that is broken down that way. I mean, it's not that I had an objection to it, I just was curious as to why it was.
it drives the auditors crazy.
Well, that's good, isn't it?
And our accountant, and our payroll people, or AP people, or whatever. I really don't have anything else right now. I will finish with, I talked to the mayor and my staff. I am still dealing with some medical issue with my younger son, so I'm gonna be, in and out probably, this week. I'll be out Thursday and Friday, doing seeing some specialists, but I just wanna give you a heads up. I'm planning on being here, but I do need some times off to set up homebound schooling and different things until we get this resolved. So, I appreciate that.
Actually, I have a question. I've been called out of town, I'm leaving Monday, but I want to know, since I'm not going to be here for the wages, last year I thought we went and discussed the wages for 2 years.
It's still part of the budget, and I've had other trustees ask me about wages, so in all fairness, I'm gonna move that to where everybody can be here to have that conversation, once the budget is lined up as far as operations and capital projects. That's my goal this year, is operations and capital projects, whatever capital projects we come up with. But you're right, it's on there, it is part of the budget. If anything, I wanna talk about benefits, not a whole lot, but I always do a review at the board, because you need to know what the employees are getting. So I have to do that with, but hopefully that's why.
And the employees do get a yearly summary of their packages.
A few years ago, we started out with a one-page letter, their first January check, that gives their wage and a list of benefits that the town provides and what they can elect through American Fidelity, who we contract with for that kind of management of benefits.
And longevity is included in that summary,
Yes,
isn't it?
correct.
Okay.
That allocation based upon the 3, 5, 7, or 10-year term is allocated in that as well.
Okay. I think that's important, because that is something that I don't think other jurisdictions do as a normal course of business, and it can be a sizable addition to someone's compensation during the year, and I think they need to be, if they're not aware of it, it's good to be aware of it.
And just, it is a topic of conversation. The manager Kersey just sent out emails today about salary and wage comparisons, so it's in the circulation right now.
Sure.
And it always is every budget, whether you like it or not.
Yes.
So it is.
Okay.
Yeah, the discussion on wages is likely to be in the first meeting in November then?
End of October, probably. We may talk about that in November.
Okay.
But I like to sit in November and let the revenues and expenditures catch up, so I know what a hard number is going in, because I don't have a crystal ball. Forecasting is impossible. So when our sales tax in October, 60,000, it drops to 20 in November, really upsets me. So those are what things I look for.
Would upset Steve too, something.
And most-
Is that reflected in the workers' compensation?
What's that?
You're being upset, is that reflected in the extra premium for the?
They don't offer psychological services.
You could talk all night not said that. Now you give somebody an idea.
But that's all I have, And then, if you need another copy of the budget, or draft budget, or I think Mary put the Space Station revised list in there. So you should
And
have
they
that.
have our copy.
How come it's so small? I like the big.
I printed them all the time, that was my fault.
So I'm not gonna be here for the rest of the budget, 'cause I'm gonna be gone for a while.
Okay.
So the capital improvements, we are gonna save that as long as we can, right? Till we have a really firm handle on, everything else.
And I'll just tell the board right now, I don't think there's a lot of money for any capital projects next year that are significant, unless you want to use reserve funds. So with that said, I want to make sure the general fund and the special revenue funds reviewed very closely, multiple times, to make sure there's no mistakes, and then look at what funding is available in reserves, general fund, or special revenue fund.
Just like this year, we didn't think we were gonna do anything. We've been very.
Isn't that true? Remember that? We said, well, let's just ease off for a year and, wow.
Well, we did a lot of planning projects this year, and as you can see in the planning department, I cut that budget in half.
Yeah.
And I talked to Melissa today, and she understands, we just don't want to do any planning projects this year.
And we have plenty of small things. Well, compared to what we've been doing, we have a lot of small, relatively small things that really, it would be good to address them in an off year.
David and I like the small projects. The senior center will be one of the main.
Yeah,
That's one of the,
Keep
that's the, I
everybody-
consider that one of, probably the biggest thing since I've been on the board. That's the biggest thing the board has accomplished, in my opinion.
Well, it's the largest capital project we've spent, or financially,
Yes.
at this point, for a small town.
Yeah, for a town our size, I think we did a lot this year. I think we have
I'm
every
proud of
reason.
what we've done.
You bet, I think we have every reason to be pleased and proud of what we've done. I couldn't agree more. Does anybody have anything else for the manager? Does anybody have any new business or any comments? I'm not accepting complaints at this time.
Well, I just had this list, right?
We stand adjourned.
Okay.
Tomorrow night, 6:30. I'm not sure what's on the menu.
Oh, yeah, well, I guess I'll be here tomorrow night. I'm gonna be gone. I'm not leaving till Monday. I took a shower on both sides of me, and then
Right
I think
when that
way
came
too
on.
long.
Yeah, I need to